All right, welcome back. Whitlock and Wiley. Eric Dickerson's back. We're joined now by former Pro Bowl linebacker LeVar Arrington. Let's move to Jerry Jones,
LA,
who still has yet to close new deals with his three biggest stars. But his negotiation taxes are actually drawing some scrutiny. The NFLPA is reportedly investigating the Cowboys for bypassing agents to deal directly with players. One agent reportedly told the NFL Network's Mike Garafolo that the team makes a habit of the practice, as Garafolo explains. Quote, he said that the team is notorious for trying to go around the agent, going right to the player and getting the player to believe, hey, it's better to be a Dallas Cowboy and take less money and be here. He said in this case, the difference is Ezekiel Elliott and even Dak Prescott and Amari Cooper, they're not buying it. They're actually listening to their representation. All right, I don't have a problem with this. I'm a bit of a Jerry Jones homer and defender. Jerry's just spitting facts. The Cowboys and Texas take care of their players post-career better than other organizations. And there's some value there that Jerry's trying to explain to these guys that's not necessarily there with other organizations.
He is spitting facts, but he's spitting the facts in an incomplete circle just because that's manipulation at its core. Now, when you're Jerry Jones, you're smart enough to know that if I'm going to say it in front of you, I should be able to say the same thing in front of your agent and have that be what the reality is. Why you don't say this in front of the agent or highlight this with the same emphasis is because you want to get directly to this guy without him calculating what the other position could and may be. We've seen this happen a lot, and this is not a football issue per se, but the Central Park 5 story comes to mind. Brian Banks, who came on our show, comes to mind. Remember in those situations, both times there was a time when there was a police officer, an accused person, and they said, no, you can't talk to your mom right now. No, you can't talk to anyone else. You can't talk to your lawyer right now. Just me and you, let's convey what's really happening. I know that dynamic personally because I have kids. And when you have your kids, you got to make sure that you and mom and the kid are on the same page. I'm not talking directly to you because I need this to be cemented by all. Why would I talk to you and leave them out? Because when you talk to them, things are going to shift. Things are going to change. Recalculate. Jerry thinks he's slick. He's trying to do something that is actually at his core a disadvantage for the guy who's not hearing the alternative version which the agent is providing.
Well, I'm with you.
Whitlock.
Freudian slip. I get it.
Whitlock. I like Jerry, and I think Jerry does pretty much right by his players. I mean, first of all, I'm not a big fan of agents anyway.
Thank you.
Really, in a sense, you really don't need an agent. All you really need is
a lawyer.
You need a lawyer and an accountant. That's all you need. You don't need these agents. The other agent mad because he ain't getting his 3%.
Y'all got bad agents.
I'll say this much here. You got $100 million a year before we play the same position. I'm gonna come out. I'm not gonna get $200 million. It's gonna be somewhere around that 150, 120. Same contract. Why do I need an agent for that? If I get a lawyer and say, look, I'll give you $200,000 to do my contract.
You ready?
Here's my paperwork.
You want the answer? Is your lawyer looking at the landscape, letting you know all opportunities, or is he just now going to dive into that one opportunity of the contract you placed in front of him?
That's what agents do. That's what agents do. That's what an agent does.
I don't want to dive down that hole, but we can have that.
First, agents don't do everything. Agents they don't do everything. They do the content. Right, they shouldn't. You don't want your right hand knowing what your left hand doing.
Right.
You want to keep them separate. You got to keep them separate. So for me, I still feel like you got to have somebody look over the contract. You can't say, okay, Jerry, no problem, I'll sign this. No, you can't do that kind of deal. But I just feel like the agents, man, I'm not a big fan of agents.
I'm not even going to go down the whole not a fan versus a fan or what. The reality here is that this is merely something that is drawn up to minimize what the athlete represents. Our intelligence level is of sound mind, sound body, as it appears in each situation. You don't need to have an agent be your voice and your soundboard the entire time. That's the difference between the Central Park 5 and what you're talking about. And here is you got a professional that's dealing with his employer, not with the law. This is not an indictment. You're not going to jail based upon giving information that they forced you to say.
There are consequences involved. Different consequences.
This is your employee. This is your employer, and you're the employee. That agent is your employee. You are that agent's employer. And I think the way the narrative is drawn so many times is that these agents are basically, they're the employer to the employee as well. And that's not the situation. Most business deals that I've been a part of outside of the game of football, I have been present with every single conversation that has taken place, unless we got it to a point of where it's just formalities. There's no problem with an owner, a franchise, an employer talking to his employee. Your agent is not the employee of that franchise. You are. You protect your best interest in that situation.
My issue is because what Jerry's saying is post-career, there's a lot of value to being a Cowboy. And you know who gets none of that post-career money? Your agent.
Your agent.
And so your agent is fighting for every dime right now. He's not concerned about your post-career money. That's what Jerry's trying to communicate to Dak and Zeke in particular. These guys drafted by the Cowboys. There's a way for them to have success there and to make money long after as longtime Dallas Cowboys, particularly if they have success. And that's part of the negotiation that has nothing to do with your agent.
Well, I don't want to paint the agents in a negative light. Hearing what you just said is absolutely correct. Your agent's talking about now, Jerry's talking about later. But the problem is there's no guarantees later. Like, there was a moment when Jerry was talking to Emmitt Smith. Hey, man, you know what? Being a Cowboy for life is a real thing. And then what happened? Got cut and had to go to Arizona. Still became a Cowboy for life because he's Emmitt Smith. Yeah. But is that going to be Emmitt Smith?
He might be Tony Romo.
It doesn't matter who you are. There's a value lost when you're not Emmitt Smith. So if Emmitt Smith can one day be a Cowboy and not be a Cowboy, but be a Cowboy for life, your agent's trying to keep that all congruent.
I don't have a problem with either point. The point I'm making is you're sitting here on camera right now. You get paid to be able to make sense of it the way you just did. So if it's your contract that's on the line, you can make sense of it the way you just did right now.
My agent works for me, yes.
Right. So the reality of it is it's not about if it makes sense to get it later or what the opportunity is later or if it's now. The reality of the point is that that player should be in charge of those conversations that are taking place in terms of, do I want to go that direction or do I want to go your direction?
And the agent should be present.
Darnell, I just don't ever get an agent. That's
yeah, right.
From this conversation.
You're going to be in that chair until he's 60 years old.
with some brand new shirts.
That's why you ain't getting paid now.
You gonna find me one, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, man,
agent, right.
Let's stay with the Cowboys. We know Marshall Faulk has been working with Zeke in Cabo, getting them ready for the season. And he was recently on the Dan Patrick show the other day and was asked if there was a game today, would Zeke be able to play at a high level? Check out his response.
Play, yes. Play at a high level, yes. But I would say possibly run the risk, as any player would who was not in game condition shape. If you tried to play him the workload that the Cowboys use him, I don't think he's in that form that he could go out and do the things that we were accustomed to seeing him do for a whole game.
Guys, do you think Faulk is actually helping or hurting Zeke's negotiations?
I think he's helping because I think they've needed to get very aggressive in their conversation and put some people on blast, and he's doing that so that Zeke's actual agent doesn't have to and Zeke doesn't have to.
He's hurting his cause. In attempt to highlight Zeke's resume, he's also highlighting Zeke's issues. So bringing all this to light in summation is hurting the cause. Zeke had 47 yards, went to Vegas, got in trouble, and then asked for a new deal while he was in Cabo. Whoever is highlighting that timeline is not doing this guy any justice. And I love Marshall Faulk. I like Zeke Elliott. But the problem is this is not the time to be talking about Zeke because all the other stuff comes into the equation as well as the good things.
Well, I think he's helping as much as he can. I mean, you know, a holdout is a holdout. Holdouts are hard. I mean, I've been through a few holdouts myself.
Some big ones.
A few? Damn, ED.
Serious.
The value position. Back in the 80s.
He held out on his height.
SMU.
I ain't playing at homecoming.
Held out on his college.
SMU. Give me my money.
But Marshall Faulk did bring up one point. It's about when you come back to play, can he play at a high level? I always feel like a back needs to be in camp to get to run the football, so get them hits, because I held out and I came back hurt my hamstring the first game back, you know, but I had 150 yards and 3 touchdowns.
My dog.
There you go. But still, I did hurt myself, so there we go.
I think he's helping him. And the reason being is for what the GOAT just said. Listen, when you come back and you have that type of workload that Zeke has, Zeke is making his negotiation stance off of what he's accomplished, not what he's going to do. You got to pay for what you think he's going to do.
Real.
You're putting your money down for what you hope he's going to do based off of what he's already done. That's first and foremost. But secondly, Marshall Faulk is a super bright, intelligent man. I mean, he's basically telling you, listen, if you got his deal done, you wouldn't have to worry about him being in Cabo working out. He'd be in camp right now getting those reps that he needs. So when y'all bring him back, whatever it is you pay him, if he's not running the ball the way that you need him to run the ball, if he's not performing the way that you want him to perform, it's probably because you have to be in game. You have to be in game situations to get that type of conditioning. And I think that he makes a very, very good point of saying that.
I just want to add one point before we go here. Beyond the T-shirts, if you notice, Darnell's getting free haircuts.
Oh, he
twice
is.
a week.
Crispy up top.
Y'all been just keeping me clean.
He tucking the chain out now, so he must put an inch or two on the
His mama gave him that.
Lamar Jackson says he's planning to throw the ball like crazy this year. We'll tell you if he and the Ravens have lost it. Next!